When I started college in 2011, I formed a solid friendship group and threw myself into the social life. One guy in my block who always showed up to parties but never spoke much to anyone was a classic neckbeard, overweight anime fan lacking in social skills combined with awkward attempts to be overconfident. He also never washed, wore stained gray clothes that he never changed, had long, lank, greasy hair, and was surrounded by a cloud of BO. It would enter the room before he did. Sorry if this description sounds unnecessarily mean. I wouldn't normally judge people for these things in themselves, but combined with his behavior sense, it's frankly warranted. With regret and hindsight, I made the mistake of chatting with him at one of these parties, with the aim of being friendly and helping him get more integrated into the group. From that moment, a switch flipped in him, and he began obsessively stalking me, which would go on for the rest of freshman year. He would try to isolate me at social events, talking to me for hours and taking none of my cues that I wanted to bring it to a close. If I tried to lose him, he would find me. If I spent time with my actual friends, he would follow and force his way into the conversation, following me around like a wasp on a mission. If he saw me in public, he would give me this 1,000 yard, unblinking stare, even from a couple hundred meters away, and would come over. It got to the point that I felt I had some kind of tracker on me because wherever I was, he would appear. Even when leaving the campus library at 3 a.m., more than once at night, I looked through the spy hole in my door to the hall outside to see him stood there staring intensely at my door. Obviously, this was seriously creepy behavior. I felt hunted. I was frightened and on alert all the time. I started to avoid going out of my room. I also started going to my folks a lot just so I could get out of town. My friends were worried about me, and a couple of them confronted him about his behavior and asked him to leave me alone. This did not go down well. His obsession turned into rage. Thankfully, he kept more of a distance, but he would still hang out in places he knew I would be, staring at me now with intense hatred. He started telling everyone that I was his girlfriend and had dumped him in a horribly cruel way. It made me question myself that a few people actually believed him. This continued into our sophomore year, when he got close to one of my housemates and started turning up unannounced at her place. This friend believed the stories he was telling and thought that I was being unfair in asking him not to bring this guy round to our house. He ended up stealing my mail, including a new bank card. I had no evidence that it was him, but I had so much stuff go missing and I knew he was doing this. I also once found him in my bedroom. That was my last straw, and my roommate finally accepted that this guy had been lying. When I moved away, the in person stuff stopped, but he started cyber stalking me. Tried daily to hack any of my accounts that he could find. This continued through to the lesser extent for a period of 3 years, but since then everything seemed to die down, and I thought it was over. I recently found his blog where he writes fancy stories about our relationship and calls me the love of his life more than 10 years later.